Welcome back, friends. If you watched our last video, you saw we survived some pretty wild weather in the Badlands.
We sure did.
Yeah, we retreated to a hotel, but we did end up camping in the Badlands and in Hot Springs, South Dakota to see Wind Cave. In this video, we're going to see whether we can survive the Tetons and Yellowstone wildlife.
So what you might expect to find in these two parks are black bears and grizzly bears and elk and wolves.
Oh, and lots of bison, I think we expect.
Oh, we've seen so many bison, we're now aloof to bison.
Anyway, stay tuned to see whether we can survive the wildlife in these two parks. I'm Mike.
Hi, and I'm Fiona.
We're a newly retired expat British couple living in the USA. We're on a mission to visit all 63 US national parks. Please mash the like and subscribe button to follow along on our journey. We're on a long 455-mile drive today, but our reward will be to tent camp in the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone national parks.
Yay!
We got to the Coulter Bay campground late in the afternoon and set up camp. I'd chosen a campsite on the edge of this large campground near to where I'd found a fox den back in 2017. We went to check out if the fox den was still occupied, but it didn't seem to be. However, when we got back to our campsite, we discovered an even larger mammal making himself at home at our campsite, a juvenile grizzly bear. Fiona jumped in the cab of our truck to film the bear while I juggled lenses and bear spray to capture this shot. It was a thrilling but concerning encounter. We heard that this bear was a regular visitor to our campground. From then on, we didn't go anywhere without our vigilance and our bear spray. It was our first completely clear night of the trip, so I walked down to the edge of Jackson Lake at midnight to capture this nighttime shot across the lake at the Tetons. Grand Teton is one of the most scenic of the USA's national parks. Our plan for the next day centered around photographing these beautiful landscapes. We headed south, stopping at scenic overlooks, including Schwabacher Landing, where I captured this video. We also stopped at Oxbow Bend and the Snake River Overlook, the subject of a famous Ansel Adams photograph. But my main goal today was to capture one of the most photographed scenes in America, the TA Molten Barn in front of the mountains. Here it is. When we got back to our campground, we noticed a commotion around the visitor center. The same bear who visited us yesterday evening was wandering around. We stayed behind the rangers but managed to capture these videos. The rangers eventually shooed off our bear, but concerningly, he walked off towards our campsite. We got beautiful weather for our 2 days in the Grand Tetons. So after all that excitement, Fiona decided to cool off in Jackson Lake.
cold. It is cold. Oh, I thought it was going to be warm.
And look what Fiona's conjured up for supper. What is it, Fiona?
It's bacon wrapped pork loin with stir-fried vegetables.
Mmm. And since the bear was spotted about this time or a bit later, we've got the bear spray on the table ready. That was our last meal in Grand Teton National Park. The next day we decamped and headed to the adjacent Yellowstone National Park. No sooner had we crossed into Yellowstone that we came across this beautiful female moose. We hadn't planned to visit Old Faithful. One visit per lifetime is quite sufficient at this tourist trap, but we took a wrong turn and ended up there just as the geyser was going off. Our plan was to call into the Grand Prismatic Spring and do the Overlook hike. That hike was closed when we visited in 2017, so we wanted to do it this time around. After a short but steep hike, we got to look down on this spectacular feature. We also took the opportunity to walk the boardwalks alongside the spring. It's quite stunning from every angle. After the Grand Prismatic Pool, we headed over to Bridge Bay Campground to check in for the night. We drove past these two elk just hanging out in the campground and then got set up for some astrophotography. The next morning, we found two elk just wandering around our campsite. I was busily videoing these animals when I realised there was a third animal on our campsite. A black bear had taken a liking to an anthill just behind our tent. The bear strolled off when he saw me, so I grabbed my bear spray and followed him to the edge of the campground. What about this for some beautiful scenery? This is just from our campsite, but if you watch closely, you'll see we also have some wildlife. A large black bear. It's found an anthill or something. But what a scene. Somewhat alarmingly, we're now 2 for 2 for bears in our campsite. Anyway, we headed out to explore Yellowstone. This is our first full day in Yellowstone National Park. We went out to Hayden Valley to see if we could spot some wolves last night, but failed. Today we're going to drive through north to the canyon. But the first thing we'll do is stop at the Sulphur Cauldron.
It's a little stinky. So I forgot that there are these cauldrons, these spaces in the Earth's crust where hot spring water is coming out all over Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah, we'll just turn into the parking lot here and you'll probably see some action. We can certainly smell the action. It's pretty sulphurous. I can't believe we're allowed to be so close to this active churning cauldron. Looks like it could just spout up in the air at any moment.
It's like a geyser.
Is it geyser or geyser?
I guess it's one of those American English words.
Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Yeah, one of the reasons we love Yellowstone and why we've come back to it after 9 years away is that it's really 4 parks in one. Of course, it's famous being a volcano for its geysers and all sorts of volcanic activity, but it's also got mountains, rivers and hiking. The wildlife is amazing. We're going to visit the Lamar Valley later today. That's considered the Serengeti of North America. And but also we're going to pop into the canyon, Yellowstone Canyon. That's pretty amazing as well. So it's just got everything. Here's a still from the stunning Yellowstone Canyon, and Fiona spotted and videoed this sheep on the far side. It gives the impression of just how big this canyon is. I'm constantly on the lookout for reasons why tent camping is the way to go rather than an RV or camper van, camper trailer, all those kind of things. And last night was one of those occasions where it was tough to see the benefits, I think, Fiona.
Yeah, it got down to 32, and so we went to bed early. It was pretty cold. Our campfire was not going that well because the wood was hardwood, so it took a lot to burn and it just liked to smolder.
Yeah, so normally we stay up late and burn the campfire into ashes, but last night we hit the hay at 9:30 and wearing all our clothes. I think I had about 4 layers on top, trousers, socks, and I was warm at the core, but my extremities were like blocks of ice.
It was similar to me. I had a sweatshirt over my pajamas and some socks, and I pulled my hood up.
Yeah, but once we got in our sleeping bags, I got warm. It was a bit slopey, so I think we had a few
meltdowns in the middle of the night where I was slid completely off the bottom of the mattress.
Yeah, what I did learn was when I slid down, and I didn't have as big a problem as you, I don't think, but when I slid down, my feet hung off the Exped sleeping mat, and man, the temperature difference in my feet when that happened was amazing. My feet just turned to blocks of ice, so I had to keep on shuffling up on the mattress to keep my feet warm and on the mattress.
I didn't get cold at all, apart from the 1:15 trip to the bathroom, which is a bit scary in the middle of the night when you know there's wolves and there's bears in the vicinity.
Yeah, I actually got up at 6 o'clock because I thought I heard our visiting black bear who you saw in the last clip. I thought he'd come to our campsite again, and while most of you may have hunkered down in a tent, I obviously ran out to get the camera, checking around me as I went with a bear spray in hand. But no bears this morning, so I made some coffee, and it was pretty cold, 32 degrees, drinking a cup of coffee out in the elements.
I stayed snuggled in my sleeping bag. So today we're going to go over to the Norris area, which is where there is the artist paint pots. It's the Norris Geyser Basin. So it's got some of the tallest geysers. And we're going to explore that area, which we didn't do when we were here before.
Yeah, I think that will have covered the whole of Yellowstone. I think all the areas of Yellowstone between our 2 visits here in 2017 and now in 2026. Which is good because this is our last day and we're heading up to Great Falls, Montana tomorrow.
For a hotel stay.
Well, Fiona, I don't know why we didn't do this Norris Basin the last time we were here, because it's really stunning.
I suspect it was because we were too tired after hiking Mount Washburn.
Could be, or we were all geysered out after looking at all those volcanic actions in other parts of Yellowstone. Yeah, this is the artist paint pot region. You're gonna love these. As we drove around West Yellowstone, we came across all manner of wildlife just off the road, on the road, or in the surrounding countryside.
So, we survived Yellowstone and Tetons National Parks.
Despite having bear encounters in both of them at our campsites. But here we are leaving at the Roosevelt Arch.
Yellowstone National Park.
For the benefit and enjoyment of the people. And we're certainly enjoying it on this rainy day. But we're leaving Yellowstone today in the rain.
And the cold. It is pretty cold too.
But we survived, and stay tuned for the next episode. Like and subscribe so you can watch our adventures up in Canada on the way to Alaska.
See ya.